On today's show,
So Shaquille O'Neal literally walked in and I saw him and everything in me wanted to scream, run, and all stuff. But I was like, you know what? Low key, I think I'm famous. Would I want somebody running to me right then and there? So I put myself in his big shoes, literally, big shoes, you know? And I was like, I'm going to be calm. I'm going to be cool. Everyone started going crazy. Is that really Shaquille O'Neal? Is that really Shaquille? I was like, I think so. So then I went to my school administrator officer and I said, hey, I think Shaquille is in the building. I just want you guys to get, they're like, Deborah, why are you so calm? How are you going to explain like that? I was like, that's my bro. That's my brother. We're cool. This was me just still calming down or whatever.
welcome to Education Today. I'm your host, Solanke. I spent 15 years in the secondary classroom teaching English, reading, and social studies. I've also been on the other side as a parent of 3 children who have completed the formal schooling years of kindergarten through 12th grade and are now in the college and career stage. Now I'm here to have conversations with teachers, administrators, school staff, students, and parents about all things education. Join me as I cover current topics in education from preschool through to college, career, and beyond. Hello, so welcome to today's show. My guest today is Deborah Joseph. Welcome to the show, Deborah.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Deborah is a wife and a mother of 2 girls. Yeah, and she's also a part-time student. So do you do schools in the evenings? Is that what you do?
Yeah. Online. Yep.
Okay.
Right after work.
And you also work full-time. So what is your current position?
I'm an office manager at a charter school here in the Hillsborough County.
So, and how long have you had this position?
I actually started last July.
Okay, so a semester.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's enough to know the challenges of working in a school. Yeah.
Definitely.
So I invited you here today because I wanted to talk about office staff in schools and other staff in schools, not non-teachers. Like, so that would include custodians, cafeteria staff, the people who aren't classed as teachers, but they help to run the school. So I'm going to start by telling you a little story. It's a nasty little story that happened when I was working at a school in Tampa. There was a time when our school did well. I should say the students did well. So our school was now in the running for a bonus for the teachers. So the teachers and the teachers alone, I believe, were allowed to take a vote because we had to make a choice. This big bucket of money that was coming to us, do we split it just among the actual faculty, the teachers who did the teaching, or do we split it among every staff member, including custodians, cafeteria staff, front office staff, aides? So there was a teacher at our school who, every time you walk past his classroom, in between classes, because it's a high school, so the kids are coming in and out every hour. In between classes, he would be outside his classroom sweeping because he wanted people to come by and say, why are you sweeping? And then when you ask him that, he'll say, oh, I'm helping the school to get an A. So that was his way of lobbying for the other staff not to get the bonus money and for it to be shared just among the teachers only. Which,
Oh, wow.
yeah, really. I told you it was a nasty story.
Oh, my God.
And I say that story to tell how underappreciated the staff of school, the non-teaching staff of school often are. And you've been doing this job for a semester now, and it's underappreciated, yet the school cannot run without them. So you've been doing this job for a semester now, as you're in the second semester. How important do you believe the front office staff is in terms of setting the tone and climate of the school? Because they are the first line of defense for parents and guests who come to the school.
I think it's very important. Just to go back a little bit, I've done office administration for, I want to say, over 15 years.
Oh, wow.
And so in other schools and also just in construction, just as a agriculture company. So I've been in the background of office administration, and it never fails, no matter what facility that you're in, you see how office staff is treated versus like executives,
Yeah.
And so I think it's very important. I think our job as office administration is very important because we are the backbone of the company, you know.
Yeah.
And so specifically for as a charter school at the school that I'm currently at, like we are the first line of defense. You know, it's actually interesting because our office is set up as if it was like a nursing station, you know. So
Oh.
to be able to be a triage, to be able to see like, okay, number one for the parents, but also for the students, you know, because it's very important. I think for us, especially me as my job, like being able to set the tone that the teachers are able to do what they need to do. I feel like I am like, you know, it's like a DJ. It's kind of like they set the tone, they set the mood for the party, for the occasion. And so we as office administration, we set the tone for how the day is going to go. Number one, for the administrations, principal, you know, vice principal, dean of students, and also for the teachers, because if we do our job well, then they're able to like feel like a burden, or like they feel the ease of being able to like love on the students, care for the students in the way that they need to.
Yeah.
One of the things for my job, I always tell them, I was like, can we not fake it till we make it? Because I think a lot of times when we are as teachers or educators, we feel like, oh, we got to be there. We got to give it all for the students. The students are going to know if you're not at your best. And so I rather you be honest to see where you're at. And if you need a half day, if you need me to find a sub for you, do that.
Yeah.
So then you're able to be at your best for the students. Because when you're not at your best, you can't give your best.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And that goes for the other staff too. Because I feel like, you know, as an administrator, you know, we work alongside the facility team, which, you know, people call them the janitor, or people call them the, you know, and so they're the ones that are not noticed, you know. And so for me, it's like for the school to look the way that it does, it's like these are the front runners, you know, these are the facility team is what helps the school stay sanitized and the whole 9 yards. And a lot of times they're ignored. And I feel like as my position, and they've said that, like, oh my gosh, Deborah, like, we've never been noticed. And it's like, you know our name, you actually talk to us, you actually speak to us. And it's like, you include us. I think it's very important for us to include facility team.
Yeah. And as I'll tell you something, we sure appreciated the janitors and the facility team, as you guys call them, during COVID.
Yep. We sure did.
Yeah.
We sure did.
Because they did a lot for us during COVID.
They
when we
sure
came
did.
back.
They go over and beyond every single day, every single day.
So you're also a parent. What grade levels are your two girls in?
So my oldest is currently in the third grade, and then my youngest is in VPK.
Okay. So as a parent, because your students, your children, do they attend your school?
Not yet. They will be attending in the fall.
Okay. So as a parent, you've had interactions with at least probably, it sounds like two different schools at least. Have you had any positive encounters with front office staff, and have you had any negative encounters with front office staff in your own kids' schools?
Yeah. So before I came to the job that I am right now, I actually subbed at the school that my kids go to.
Oh, okay.
And I did that because I wanted to be, you know, in their lives. You know, I not only just be in their lives because I was home, but I believe like when parent involvement, if they can, it does something differently to their own child, to that student, and also to the school.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like if you're able to do it, it would be great, whether you're volunteering or whether you're coming to chaperone, whatever it is, at whatever capacity. And during that time, I had the ability to substitute. And so I chose that school, and I only went to substitute at that school because Hillsborough County, through the sub-service I went through, you can go to different schools, but I just chose to be at the school there. And it made a world of a difference from being able to see, you know, my daughter, you know, whether she's changing classes or whether she's going, or whether I had to substitute her own class. It was just kind of like, she still called me Miss Joseph, you know, even though her teacher was like, that's your mom over there. You can call her mom. But she just knew, like, I'm mom, but she loved the way that I was able to be both mom and be Miss Joseph, you know, and in her own school, you know. And I think for me, to seeing the office staff there, I think I built a rapport, because I think it's very important for that, you know. So to know the principal, to know the vice principal, and the office administration, I think it was key for me. Was like, I'm not just signing in and figuring out, hey, what class am I subbing for today? But hey, how are you doing?
Yes.
You know, to the secretary, how are you doing? Because it's very important to get that background of what they go through in order to see, like, hey, when teachers say, hey, I get no backup from the office staff. It's like you're kind of wondering like where, or my office staff is great. I feel appreciated. I feel like they only see me. I think I just need to know that, and I did. I had encounters where it was great. It was great to see. And then there was encounters where, especially towards the end, because I substituted towards the end of the semester, and you saw the stress of just kind of like, man, we are exhausted. We are tired, from whether lack of support from the district coming down onto them, and to seeing how, some teachers were leaving in mid-year. Some teachers were not returning after, spring break. And so there was a lot of pressure to have to fill in substitutes or have to split the class. And so I was able to see like, oh my gosh, like I remember going to some of the teachers. I'm like, hats off to you and what you do every single day, Yeah. But yeah, at the same time, I saw some teachers that I was just like, I'm just waiting for the semester to end because I'm done. I'm over it. And you saw that students felt that like, hey, I'm checked out already. Though I'm here physically, mentally, I've checked out. And it was a hard tension to be able to be like, I get what these staff is feeling, but at the same time, I'm like, hey, we got to finish strong. We got to finish to the end. That doesn't mean we fake it, but we got to let them know that, hey, we will face obstacles, but then how do we like cross the finish line together, you know? So I was able to be a witness to both sides.
Yeah. So how did your experiences in your own children's school give you more understanding into how to better do the position you're in now on the other side?
I think that's why I went for it. I was like, to see what I saw with the previous school that I subbed at, I was like, I need to be in administration because I think like there are certain things that certain resources I'm able to pull, certain connections I'm able to make in order to see how can I smooth out a teacher's day. So something as far as like, it's tedious, but when they make a supply request form that they need chart paper or they need, scissors, something as basic as that, right? Yeah. It makes a difference if you go and you meet that list for them, hey, I've delivered the chart paper that you've probably been waiting on for 6 weeks. And probably it's not that they didn't have it. Maybe they didn't get a chance to put that order in because they were backed up on some other things. You know what I'm saying? And so something like that, I use that example because I've had teachers now that when I, simple task of delivering some of the supply requests that they put on the list, and they say, wow, this is the first time I'm not waiting 6 weeks for supplies, and to me, I'm like, hey, one, I'm OCD, but other thing, I'm like, organizational is very important. So if you have these basic things, then you're able to complete the task that you need. I don't know what she needs that chart paper for, but maybe she was up on a deadline or she told her students, hey, we're going to do this project and they need that chart paper for this reason. And so I think like, when you meet a teacher's need, then they're able to meet the student's need. Yeah. It's like a domino effect, and right. So I saw from that school what, as a parent, one, but also as a sub, hey, what are the things that could have helped me, smooth out the class, that those couple hours that I was subbing for, what could have helped if I had this type of support, So, yeah.
So you're in the office and an angry parent comes in and you're the first line of defense. You and your colleagues in the front office are the first people they encounter. How do you diffuse that situation?
That's interesting enough because we've had multiple of those situations because say, for example, like they need to go to be at a chaperone for their student and they needed some information from the teacher, but the teacher didn't get a chance to email them back or whatnot. So a lot of times parents will come into the office and say, hey, I've been trying to email this teacher for a very long time. No one's responding back to me. And they just go heated and, go from 0 to 100. I've seen that. I think the first thing is just like, okay, let's not have this conversation right here in the office. Yeah. And I set an appointment with you, whether it's like they meet with me or they meet with the dean of students to how to like have that. Because a lot of times they think they can have that conversation right then and there in the lobby. Students are walking by, other parents are walking by. So I need to reassure them that what you're having to say, what you're needing to say is very important. Yeah. But at this moment, we're in the middle of arrival. We're in the middle of a dismissal or just kind of whatever the situation it could be is like, hey, in order for you to get that one-on-one, can we reschedule this moment? So whether it's like, let me see who's available to speak to you in a few minutes, or would you like to sit down with the principal? Because I think they want to be heard. Whatever that they're saying, whatever that they're feeling, it could be valid, you know, but I'm not going to know that in the moment of you just being upset. Yeah. A lot of times we get like, hey, like we have to, one of the situations that is always current is 2:00 is early dismissal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we tell parents that, hey, by 1:00 on Mondays, you have to be able to sign out your kids by 1:00 if you're going to come in for early dismissal. So we
Yeah.
have parents sometimes coming at 1:30, 1:45, 2:00. And that's harder for us as administration staff to get ready for dismissal, whether we have to tell teachers, hey, this parent emailed and they're no longer going to be a walker, but they're going to be a van rider.
Yeah.
We have to be able to have that time.
Yeah.
So we've had parents come in and say, hey, I have an emergency. Oh, I didn't know it was going to be at 2:00. I mean, just upset. And there's a part where I have to say, hey, you can email us advance to let us know. And this is the reason why we're cutting it off at 2:00.
Yeah.
Not that your situation is not important. This is the reason. So I feel like for me, the way to diffuse a situation is like figure out a sense of understanding. Let them speak, let them get whatever they need to get out. But at some point, it's kind of like I have to interject to say, I hear your concern and this is what I'm hearing. Repeat it back to them. This is what I'm hearing. And this is what I can do right now.
Yeah.
And then give them options. Hey, the dean and student may not be available right now, but can I set you up an appointment? I have the privilege of monitoring the principal's calendar. Can I set you up an appointment for this time? Would that be great for you?
Yeah.
Because I think everyone, regardless if the person is making sense or whatever they're thinking that is important at the moment, I need to reassure them that, hey, when you come here, you get red carpet service, regardless if you're being a butt or not. I don't know if I could say that on your podcast or not. I apologize. But everyone deserves that red carpet service, And so I want them to know that even when they're upset and angry, they deserve that too, even in my response.
Yeah, that's good. All right, here's another scenario. You're sitting in the office, you and your colleagues are the first line of defense, and Shaquille O'Neal walks through the door. What do you do then?
Wow. Speaking of Shaquille O'Neal, that actually happened. So here's the thing. And I was in front. So usually I sit a couple of like rows, not rows or whatever, but where my desk is not where our receptionists sit, right?
Yeah, uh-huh.
So at that moment, my receptionist was on lunch. So I was in the front. So Shaquille O'Neal literally walked in and I saw him and everything in me wanted to scream, run, and all stuff. But I was like, you know what? Low key, I think I'm famous. Would I want somebody running to me right then and there? So I put myself in his big shoes, literally big shoes, And I was like, I'm going to be calm. I'm going to be cool. Well, apparently all other people from other teachers walking in saw that. So everyone started going crazy. Is that really Shaquille O'Neal? Is that really Shaquille? I was like, I think so. But again, this was around Halloween. So we're not thinking that somebody was just trying to dress up like him or something like that. So then I went to my, school administration and I said to my school administrator officer, and I said, hey, I think Shaquille is in the building. I just want you guys to get to know that. They're like, Deborah, why are you so calm? How are you going to explain like that? I was like, that's my bro. That's my brother. We're cool. This was me just still calming down or whatever. So I went, this is so hilarious because I'm revisioning what happened. So he walks in, he's chilling. So we have to ask every parent for their ID, especially if we don't know them, in order for them to check out their
of course,
their students. So we asked for their ID. So he interjects and said, hey, do you need my ID as well? I was like, no, not really, sir, because you're not the one that's picking up the student, right? So he gives me like a smirk or whatever. So I personally go get the student of the mom because they're family. I go get that student and I walk over. So everyone at this point going into the lobby, handshaking, taking pictures and all that stuff. So I walk in with the student and to give it to his mom. So she goes to me. She was like, hey, Miss Joseph, do you want a picture? I was like,
oh, wow.
I guess so. That's fine or whatever. So I go to him and he's cracking up at this point because he's like, wow, she's the only one that's been so cool. So I go up to him. He's huge, so mad tall. I go up. I'm like, hey, man, how you doing or whatever? He's like, doing good. He puts his arm around me and we take a picture. I think after he left, I started screaming because I was just like, that was Shaquille O'Neal. Oh my gosh. They was like, Deborah, you played it so cool. I was like, yeah, because I know he's a DJ. He was here in Tampa DJing. And so I'm a DJ too. And so we were already vibing. And they were like, oh my gosh, Deborah, yeah, right. But that was a highlight for me.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that story. And
of course.
Thank you for talking about your experience as front office staff. Thank you, Deborah Joseph.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you for listening to this episode of Education Today. We'll be back next time with more current topics on all things education. In the meantime, you can email any questions or comments you have about the show to edtodaypodcast@gmail.com. If you enjoy the show, please hit the subscribe button on whichever platform you are listening so we can continue to expand our reach. If you'd like to hear more from me, you can check out my blog for more about my experiences as a classroom teacher at medium.com/@SOKOR. That's medium.com/@SOHKOR. You can also find me on Instagram at @SOKOR_rights. That's SOHKOR_rights.